All right, good morning. Good morning. We are so happy to have you here at the September convening. As I stated, we know that several organizations are taking advantage of the training with the 21st Century Grant, but we are happy that you were able to make it today to hear about the BRAYN efforts for September. Forrest from the convening working group has dropped the link in the chat for you to sign in. Please sign in and we're going to get started. So today's agenda follows our standard format. We'll get grounded, have the coffee shop and a keynote speaker, Mrs. Bethany Robicheaux. She's the executive director of the Young Entrepreneurs Academy in Baton Rouge and is joining us to speak about student engagement through student choice. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions after the presentation. Then we'll take a moment and talk about a National Advocacy Day called Lights On After School. Lights On After School highlights the importance of after-school programs and is coordinated by the National After School Alliance. It's vital for BRAYN to participate and for members to advocate for after-school programs. So we'll discuss that. After this discussion, we'll have BRAYN announcements. October is a very busy month for BRAYN, and so we will discuss opportunities. So please have your calendars ready. After the announcements, we will have an open session for members and guests to ask questions about membership, give shout outs, and share relevant information about their organization. Let us know if you're hiring, need volunteers, need help with certification, have upcoming events, etc. We'll do all of this in an hour and a half. So let's affirm the organization with Cindy Bonin, the BRAYN Convening Working Group co-chair.
Good morning, you guys. Yes, we always want to start off with affirming our organization. Maybe it's your first time, or, it's a good thing to refresh what are our goals, what are our principles of practice before we start our meeting. So BRAYN is a network for youth organizations that provide one or more of the following: after-school youth programming, summer youth programs, or wraparound support services for youth. Our goals are to build the youth services field, to improve how communities and schools work together to create more equitable outcomes for youth in the long term, and increase youth engagement in high quality out-of-school opportunities. Our principles of practice are community. If you want to go fast, go by yourself, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The quality of our relationships and trust matter. Move at the speed of trust. Collaboration. We can fight for the scraps that fall off the table, or we can build a bigger table together. Collaboration builds this table. And consensus. This process requires us to slow down, take time to build shared understanding, and value equity in decision-making. And now we will move on to our BRAYN coffee shop.
Thank you so much, Cindy, for affirming the organization. As she said, yes, collaboration, it works. We all, put this network together and we have this great convening working group to collaborate and get us ready for today. So absolutely, collaboration works. We will participate in our BRAYN coffee shop right now. We'll take a few minutes and discuss the question for this month. How does your organization define student choice? The convening working group member, Forrest Middlebrook, will start placing you all in rooms now. Thank you, Forrest. Thank you all for coming back. We are now going to give all of the co-chairs and facilitators a chance to share what you all talked about in your individual rooms. If you can just give us an overview or a highlight. Can we start with Dr. Harrison?
Oh, I think Kayla is going to, something happened that we ended up in Kayla's group. So
Okay.
Kayla, could you go on and share, please?
We have a
robust situation, conversation, I should say.
Yeah, so we in our group, I think if I were to sum it up, we talked a lot about responsiveness as being part of choice. So in any space where the young people are or anyone that you're serving, the different member organizations talked about using surveys or having space in their programs where the people who are participating have a chance to shape the program itself and how important that is for ownership and for engagement. And then the other thing we talked a lot about was the importance of power when it comes to choice, that it's incredibly you're more likely to have engaged folks in your program when they can shape the program, but also when your program is giving them space to make changes in their lives or in the lives of their families. A lot of times that's really what it comes down to. Student choice and engagement is, do I feel like I can make something different if I want something to be different? Or do I feel like I just have to accept things as they're given to me? And then we shared out some tools, and we got to talking with Reverend Anderson before they got snatched away. But that's what we covered in our group.
Thank you for sharing, Kayla. Can someone else, SK, can you share?
Yeah, absolutely. So in our room, we had myself from Walls, Danica from Community Kids, Elizabeth from Big Buddy, Alexandra from Knock Knock, and Matt and Josh from the YMCA. And so I think that there was a really variety of ways that we approach student choice in our organizations, whether that's from choices within programming, right? So students being able to determine a direction for them inside of a lesson or inside of a space. And then also this conversation of students and families being able to select which programs or which spaces they are opting into. And we had a conversation about how we can balance student choice versus family choice when we're thinking about that opting in of programs. I think that ties into extending that conversation, it ties into this power dynamics conversation on a larger level, but we didn't quite we more talked about what does that look like practically for our programs. And then I think also talking about methods of student surveying and really on that evaluation end, and then in the future planning, how you're incorporating student choice and voice. So folks had a lot of great thoughts there. In terms of how we as program providers can make a menu of choices, whether that's for Knock Knock, a menu of spaces and materials that are available to young people, for YMCA, a menu of programs, right? But how we can kind of determine our capacity and then allow for that flexibility within it so young people are able to move in ways that fit them. And then kind of the push, I think Elizabeth from Big Buddy was really sharing about total team takeover and youth voice throughout that project as a way that we can really think about young people and student choice in planning as well, which was great.
Yeah, that is great. That is really great. Let's see, we are Lucy, can you share, please?
Sure. So we had Big Buddy, Enroll BR, and the Wilson Foundation in our group. And so similarly to some of the other comments, Big Buddy, is focuses on the assets of the child, and make sure that they have a choice with their activity, that they participate in their enrichment and internships. And then just the whole process of mentoring the kids is a way to build relationships so that the students can express their needs and to be more responsive to what the student is looking for, or their choice. Again, building and focusing on the relationship with the child. Enroll BR, which is primarily about school choice with parents, but they have with their school finder quiz an ability for the parents to say what they're looking for and the children also. So I think that that's a really good way to include the student voice and choice. And then the Wilson Foundation was speaking about, again, letting families know what's going on, and to make sure that the opportunities that are available match the needs of the families and the children. So that's what we said.
Yeah, very, very useful. Very great ways to practice student choice. We will move forward. We have a great keynote speaker here with us today, Mrs. Bethany Robicheaux from the Young Entrepreneurs Academy, and she is actually going to talk to us more about student engagement through student choice. Bethany Robicheaux is a native of Wisconsin who moved to Louisiana in 2005 to begin her 2 years of service as a special education instructor with Teach for America. After her time in the Corps, she was promoted to one of the East Baton Rouge Parish's first adolescents literacy coaches, where she stayed for 3 years. As the literacy coach, Bethany worked to rearrange the master schedule to support pathways for struggling readers, ensuring that all gaps were remediated. As a result, the school grew 12 SPS in her final year. In 2012, she completed her master's in public administration from LSU. Upon graduation, she accepted a full-time position at the LDOE. During her time at the department, she worked with districts to plan and budget as she implemented the new standards, diploma pathways, teacher evaluation, and early childhood programs that were tasked with implementing. In 2016, she joined the Diocese of Baton Rouge to complete the revamp of special education programming in their schools. She was tasked with expanding the program from a single school site to a diocese-wide system in order to create more access for families. During her tenure, the program grew from 2 sites to 8 and from 30 students to over 200 before her departure. In 2020, Bethany joined the staff at LRCE as Director of Operations and Finance. Due to the pandemic, Bethany worked to flip the alternative teacher training program from an in-person model to a virtual model in an unprecedented quick turnaround. The flip allowed LRCE to move beyond the capital area region and invited any teacher from across the state to earn a teaching certificate. The transformation was so successful that the model the team created was presented this summer at the National Moodle Conference and will be presented at the International Conference next spring. This past July, Bethany became the Executive Director for Young Entrepreneurs Academy of Baton Rouge. In her role, she supports 8th through 12th grade students on the journey from student to CEO. The Academy partners with the E.J. Orso College of Business at LSU, the Baton Rouge Chamber, Louisiana Economic Development, and private philanthropy to encourage our next generation of business leaders to pursue their dreams. BRAYN members and guests, welcome Mrs. Bethany Robicheaux. Bethany will now share her screen with us. Thank you, Bethany.
Hi, everyone. So I don't know, Jasmine, that I have a whole lot else to add after hearing the robust coffee talks, but I'm really looking forward to visiting with you all over the next 20 minutes. So I am an educator by trade, which means that we're going to be interactive. So it's a little hard for me. So if you see me moving in my seat, it's because my feet are really dancing underneath me. But I'm going to drop in the chat. I'm not sure how many of you have used Nearpod before, but we're going to actually interact together through Nearpod. So I'm going to be able to see you sign in. So if you click that link, it's going to open it up to the presentation. So the first thing I want to just do is take a quick poll here. In my free time, I like to, and I have several choices: watch TV, sleep, free time, ? Play a sport, garden, read. So just select one of those for us. It looks like most of us are in, so I'm going to go ahead and share our results. So you'll now see on the screen, it looks like the majority of us like to read or to watch TV. one of the things that I like to show about here is, just like we heard from the feedback on the coffee chats, is that every one of us who are in the room, although we all have this similar connection of supporting youth in our community, which I do have to pause and just say is like this beautiful warm hug when I see all of these groups coming together in support of each other. And I just get these big warm fuzzies about this is, being not a member originally of the Baton Rouge community, but now being very much invested in the Baton Rouge community is just an awesome opportunity for us to all come here together today. So with all of this free time, we realize that we ourselves as adults love choice, right? There may be a moment where if I ask this 8 weeks from now, or I asked this during the pandemic, it may look very different as to what our choice was. And we have to understand that as part of choice, choice evolves. So one of the first little key tips I'm going to give you today is that to ask students about choice and their agency often. So it could be that you do a summer programming and then you have school year programming. It may be that they test into, they choose something and you start to realize that their investment isn't there. We have to think about ways with our organizations that if they start with that big idea of what they think it might be, there may be something that happens in their life or an experience they have that shifts that, right? It's a moment where I want us to all come off of mute, not really, and yell Ross Geller's favorite word of pivot. Because this is part of what we do as organizations is we know what our menu of choices is that we provide. And we come in and we allow our students as much as we can to flow through it. So on your screen now is going to pop up an article. It is a classroom-based article, but I thought it did a really nice job of kind of stepping through what was choice and specifically what are low cost or no cost ways to provide choice in your team or in your organization. So I'm going to give you all just a second to do that. And then when you're done, on the bottom of your Zoom screen, there are reactions. And if you could just give me a thumbs up when you're finished reading, that'll kind of let me know. So what I would love to do is something I call a chat waterfall. You may have done this before, but a chat waterfall is quickly in the chat. If you can just drop one takeaway that you took from the article that maybe resonated with you, it's something your organization is already doing, or maybe it's a new learning for you that you want to just mark and take back. So in the chat waterfall, just literally make the waterfall go. I see allowing students to have their voice heard. E-portfolio, great tactical tool. Infusing choices of tools to use, great. The power of technology to provide choice. I love that. Something we've all learned over the last, I feel like 36 months in a different way. Great. Wonderful. I see some love for that e-portfolio. Maybe we can chat a little bit about that in the questions. Come on. Oh. So why does choice matter? I know we talked about this in our coffee shop a little bit, but if you could take a second and go ahead and write in your answer here about why choice matters. Could be a word, could be a phrase. If this is your moment to write your dissertation, let's go for it. But let's just take a minute here and write in some answers to choice. All right, we'll give just about one more second. I think most of them have populated at this point. And I'm going to highlight one of them here for the group. Crystal, I'm going to put you on the spot. What I liked about this answer that sort of resonated with me is that not only does it create that buy-in and engagement, which I think most of us have collaborated around at this point, that I've heard the words power, I've heard choice, I've heard leveling the playing field. We've talked about all of this. But one of the things that I think choice does specifically for our youth is that it helps them develop those decision-making skills. I could not agree with you more, Crystal, about this. One of the things is when we have choice and we see what that choice does in affecting our next step. I follow a blog that's called The Next Right Step, and it's all about, you might not know what's in front of you, but if you just can take that next right step, that's the most important thing you can do. And so often for our youth, especially coming out of the last 2 years where so many of our choices were taken away from us, helping them really develop that, what does it mean if I go? I was an avid reader when I was younger, and one of my favorite things was those choose your own adventure books. There are friends, right, where you read the book and it was, if you wanted to go down this path, you were going to page 35. And if you were going this way, it was, you were going to page 42. And so if you moved that way, we really saw those choices. I am from the Oregon Trail generation, right? And so like in Oregon Trail, you had to make those critical decisions about how you were going to get across the river, or whether you were going to get fruit or you were going to get meat. I still have an irrational fear of scurvy because of Oregon Trail. And so part of it is that as you move through, it helps us make those decisions, and those decision-making skills are what we want as adults. Every day in my job, I have to make a set of decisions using my best knowledge to move forward. And those choices help further the mission of YEA. It helps further the mission of ensuring that our students who I'm under the care of ensure that they have that quality experience as part of it. And I know lots of you feel the same way. And as we guide these students into making those choices, we want them to understand that those choices have consequences, both positive consequences and negative consequences. And sometimes those negative consequences are okay that they're negative. And so we want them to help develop that. So coming up now, we're going to do my favorite little sticky note. I'd love to know, how does my organization include choice? I know we talked about this in our small groups and we sort of summed it up, but I'd like you now to go ahead and just sticky note for me and share your thoughts. And it's going to kind of populate the board, like a bulletin board for us, so we can see some of those other ideas. Thank you, Muriel. So for those of you who have already put up your little sticky note, one of the things I do is we love to show the love during this. So in your best social media way, you can share the love along there for ones that resonated with you. Bobby, if you use the code at the top on the, it's YUJ49, I'm going to drop it in the chat. You should be able to relog back in. Great. Looks like we're up here and we've shared a lot of love. I would love Lisa, if she's able to come off of mute and talk a little bit about her sticky note.
Hi, everyone. Excuse me up front because my sinuses are driving me bananas. Okay, so my voice will change, but it'll still be me, I promise. Essentially, when we engage with students, we don't place them in a particular box, and to ensure that we are doing that effectively, we have to come up with a system for us, and those that system is asking questions about their day, about their mindset, and what they think about those experiences. So the first two questions vary, but it is the first question is always about the external, the second question is about their internal, and the third question is about their perspective. And based upon that, we determine what may be the best options for them to choose from. So if the intent was to have an intensive practice session and the student had a really highly emotional day, that's probably not going to work out. So we may do more hands-on or ask them to watch short videos and give feedback or take notes, things that will cultivate critical thought, because that's our focus, is to increase critical thinking about whatever content that the student's engaging with. But that's the way that works. And the mindset is that the more closely you can align with where the student is in terms of motivation, as well as I guess maybe the best learning preferences they may have at the moment, because all of them work, but the combination by which they're used depends on your mood, your mindset. I mean, and so that's what we try to take into account.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing. I am so sorry that I picked you with your sinus issues. My apologies. But I think that I just love the way that you all respond to how they show up that day. When I was in the classroom, I called it my kids' Samsonite, right? So the luggage that they carried in some days. And some days we had to do a very quick read because there was Samsonite that they could leave outside the door and they could check their baggage. But there were days that just had to unzip in some way, and we had to adjust to it in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you all so much for sharing these great ideas. Hopefully you were pen and papering some of these ideas down here. Again, we'll make sure that we share this out at the end. And so my last slide tonight is, I'm at night. I'm here. There's not enough coffee yet, apparently, in Bethany Robichaux's world. This morning is that it's actually something that my daughter did during a social thinking group. And I love to show this because this is Natalie Robichaux's best 7-year-old self. And she came home one day and she was frustrated after school about what was going on. And she drew this for me. And I said, now, Natalie, what in the world is going on here? And it says flexibility as the big circle. And then a very small portion of the side says other. Okay. And in this circle, I said, help me understand what this means. And in discussing this, she says, Mom, most of the time you have to be flexible. And I don't like being flexible, but I have to remember that I have to be flexible to when I come in, all of my choices might not be there. It might not be what I want to do. It might not be when I want to do it. My sweater might be too itchy, right? We have all these things that might take me out of being able to be flexible. But she said in that very bit of other time, I have to remember that there are others who are with me in this time who have to also be flexible. And so we work together to build that time where then we come up with the big choice. And I was like, well, you know what? that social group is a social group that I would hands down recommend to everyone else. It's the social thinking curriculum. If you all aren't familiar with it, it is one, I will share it, Jasmine, is kind of some of my resources at the end. But in thinking about this, I think so often we as leaders of these programs come in and we have a plan because of our mission. And the last thought I want to leave you all with today is that there is an incredible network here that we have together who have allowed us to be very flexible to offer choice to students in different ways. And I was on the phone with a colleague yesterday that we were introducing each other and my new role to each other. And Carl and I were on the phone and we were talking, and I said, you know, one of the things that I appreciate is that as a network, we may see students who came to our organization and for one reason or another, we might not be their best choice. But I heard it said at the beginning of the conversation as we were finishing off the coffee talk and we were moving in, which is with many of our groups, we have to support the whole family in that move. And so my parting piece for you is that as you meet your students who come to our organization, so right, 24% of our population in East Baton Rouge Parish, I'm going to kind of couch it at East Baton Rouge Parish, is in that 0 to under 18 space, which is our target market. Of that group, we've got 18% of them who are in that school year. So take out the 0 to 4s, and that 4 to 18 really fits in that group. Of that, that means we're talking about roughly 75,000 children who meet in this group, who fit this demographic by age. Of those 75, if all 75 showed up to our doors, we would be lost with what to do with all of these friends. So there are plenty of kiddos out there who have plenty of choices in plenty of ways. And one of the challenges I give to this group, and I saw it in the mission as we kind of centered together this morning, was on collaboration. So as we come together, if you have a student or a family that arrives at your door and it might be a just not yet, or a not right now, or a not right fit, remember that we don't want to say like, hey, and I know we don't mostly do this, but like, hey, not ready. But when I have to tell a student no for YEA, right? They get this letter that says like, thank you so much for participating. Here's the other thing. But one of the things that we're offering moving forward is here are some other entrepreneurship organizations that exist within the community that may be a great first step before you're ready to join us. What that network then creates is not a no, but a let's look at other things. And we can lead the story here where we're able to then come in and say, you know what, can I make that phone call for you? Hey, it's my friends over at 100 Black Men. They have a financial literacy course that's got some entrepreneurship. Let me go ahead and call Nicole over there and let's see if we can make that transition for you. Hey, I know that the library in Ascension Parish is doing this connection. Let's do this. Hey, Nancy was in my small group. Hey, Nancy at LPB, we've got some games here that maybe might be some great first steps. And how do we create then that list of knowing ourselves that if we have to say this isn't quite the right choice, how we can guide this group together to then become a partnership that I know we're all working so heavily for to guide us forward. So these are my deep words of wisdom on a lovely Friday morning. I thank you all so much for your engagement today. I will absolutely make sure that I share all of these resources, including a link to how to get Nearpod for free, so that if this is something that you enjoyed doing this morning and you'd like to be able to do it in other presentations, this was one of the tools that I gained in my toolbox at LRCE when we did the big flip. And it really transformed a typical PowerPoint into a much more engaging way when we all can't be together in the same room. So at this point, I am an open book for questions. Jasmine knows this when we visited. There's not much I won't say like, well, here's the Robicheaux 2 cents on this one. So please, if it's easier to put it in the chat, go ahead and ask it in the chat. And if not, you can most definitely come off mute and we can visit together.
I'm gonna ask Bethany, thank you so, first of all, thank you so much. And I really just loved how you helped to frame our work together as BRAYN, as really being able to coordinate all the many choices and options that families and youth have in our community. I wanted to ask you to circle back. You mentioned social thinking. And could you just say a little bit more about that? I think I would like to know more about it.
Yeah. Give me one. So the power of being on Zoom is that I'm going to pull up the website and then we'll just share it right here. And I'm going to just show the book. So hopefully you all can see my screen. It says you can. So social thinking is a curriculum that does a lot of has a lot of resources, and it has characters. One of my favorite is Superflex. And it's all about how we work together. It comes out of the speech therapy world. So one of the things I appreciate about it is it's deeply literacy based in that expressive language standard. And so they do lots of direction, and in addition to it, it goes from, as you can see, as developmentally appropriate. We have our early learner group, our elementary group, and then our tweens, teens, and young adults. And it just gives a vocabulary together. So now my daughter is 12 and a half. We are moving into that tween phase, or as we call it at our house, pre-teendom. And as you come into pre-teendom, sometimes our brain, as it rewires, we don't always have the best social thinking, but what it's given us is a language together to talk about those moments and maybe what third options are, or what, when we have a rock brain moment where we get a little stuck, where does that fix? How can we be Superflex? And it helps her be more emotionally literate as she's trying to express challenges she's facing. So it's one of my favorites. Other questions? Great. Nancy's saying that there is free PBS resources too on here as well. Awesome, Nancy. I love that. Free is one of my favorite words. What else? Any other questions?
Well, if there are no more questions at this time, Bethany is definitely going to leave her information. And like she said, all of the resources that she shared today, in addition to others, she will get those to me and they will go out in the recap. This was wonderful, Bethany, and we definitely appreciate you sharing your approach. I just want to say, we are grateful for you and for YEA to collaborate with BRAYN. We all want to know more about the social thinking. So thank you so much for that resource as well.
Yes, absolutely. And by all means, please reach out. We'll make sure that we put a list of resources together, and a few of them that I also have just found are really great. So some templates, some stuff that you can literally just take, process, and repeat. And as always, if there's, something about your organization that you're like, I would like to have just a offline conversation one-on-one. Now that we can be together, just let me know. I love being together. If you haven't figured that out. So please let me know and we will connect. I appreciate y'all. And we are officially now signed MOU on the dotted line. So YEA is a new partner in BRAYN. So I will be seeing y'all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bethany. We appreciate you and YEA. So we are going to, I talked about this at the beginning, Lights On After School is a National Advocacy Day that highlights the importance of after-school programs, and it's coordinated by the National After School Alliance. BRAYN is participating, and we're asking everyone who has a program, wants to start a program, has benefited from after-school programs, to join us in highlighting the impact of after-school programs in our individual experiences. BRAYN is going to use a platform called Video Ask to capture short videos of your testimonies. We are at the beginning stages of this project, so more details will follow soon. But if you want to familiarize yourself with the platform prior to us sending out more information about it, Forrest is about to drop a link in the chat, and it takes you straight to Video Ask, but I will also be sending that link in the recap of this convening. We do encourage you to participate, celebrate after-school programs as a whole and your programs. These videos will potentially be used in marketing materials in the future. So your program and what you have to say about after-school programs can be highlighted, beyond this project. So please participate. BRAYN has some announcements. You should have received your first BRAYN newsletter. Thank you so much to the communications working group for putting that together. It was a really nice newsletter. If you did not receive it, please email admin, ADMIN, at ourbrayn, OURBRAYN.org, admin@ourbrayn.org, to ensure that we have your email address. That email went out on September 6th. We also want, if you are here as a guest, we would like to talk to you about membership. You can reach out to admin@ourbrayn.org for a prospective members meeting. I meet with you one-on-one at this point and, talk to you more about BRAYN in the membership onboarding process. If you are a BRAYN member and are not yet certified, the membership working group will be certifying organizations next month. That link was in the newsletter, but I can definitely send it out. It will soon be on the website as well, where you can go in and click on at your leisure. But if you want to know more about the certification process, please reach out, email admin@ourbrayn.org. I can take you through that, but if you're a guest, you may or may not know that we did enter partnership with East Baton Rouge Parish School Systems, and soon you will not be able to work in East Baton Rouge Parish School System as a community organization without being certified by BRAYN. That is a member benefit, but you will also have access to data sharing, which is something that every after school and out of school time program, can use to benefit the children that they serve. So please, please, please take time and get certified or reach out to me if you have questions. Our next BRAYN convening is October 21st from 10 until 11:30. The last convening inspired us to create a convening poll to see if you would like to participate in person like we did last month. Last month, there was a lot of great energy, engagement, and networking. And we want to know if you're interested in meeting in person more often. So Forrest is going to share a link in the chat. Again, it will be in the meeting recap, but if you can go ahead and let us know now, I'm going to give you just a minute to fill that out and fill that poll out and let us know how you would like to participate in the future. So if you could just take 1 minute, it's just a few questions. if you joined us later on during the convening, we ask that you sign in. Forrest is going to drop that link in the chat. If you have not signed in, please take this time to do so. Going to give about 30 more seconds for the convening poll. If you need more time, just let me know. All right. We do have some community announcements. The Safety Place is hosting a trunk or treat spooktacular and community bike ride event on October 29th. BRAYN will be there, and we're hoping to see some of you as well. BRAYN will also be at the Trick or Treat with the Deputies Halloween event at Ben Burge Park on October 31st. We are asking BRAYN members to take advantage of these two membership benefit opportunities. This is an opportunity to showcase your program. The Safety Place, well, between the two events, we are expecting to see 1,200 students. We are asking that members donate a bag of candy along with materials that showcase their program. So marketing materials for your program, as well as a bag of candy. You can drop off the bag of candy to the Big Buddy office between now and October 21st. October 21st is the deadline. You just bring it to the front desk and they'll have it and store it for me. And we will pass out the candy as well as your promotional items at both events. The deadline again is October 21st. More details will be provided in the recap. We wanted to also take time to allow members to ask additional questions, whether it's about membership, give shout outs to, other organizations or the keynote speaker, or just like share, relevant information or upcoming events. So we can go ahead and take this time as the open session if anyone wants to share anything or ask any questions.
I wanted to share that we have an event. We have a community event here at the Dream Center at 4829 Winborn Avenue. It's actually a mentorship event, and I'm kind of doing it like a speed dating type of thing. So it's like meet your match. So the mentees or the youth will be able to get paired up with the mentor of their choice, or the mentor will be able to get paired up with a mentee of their choice. And we're doing that from 6:30 to 8:30 on October 13th here at the Dream Center. So if you know of someone who would like to become, or any of you would like to become a mentor, you can feel free to either email me. I can drop my email in the chat box, or if you know a youth who would like to be paired with a mentor, then again, you can email me and we can get them connected at that event.
Thank you for sharing, Ebony.
No
Does
problem.
anybody have questions about that event? Need anything repeated? All right, anybody else have any events or anything that you would like to share?
Good morning, this is Reverend Anderson. I wanted to share with the group that this past week, I'm the chair of the Children and Youth Committee for the Louisiana Behavioral Health Advisory Council. And we had the opportunity, thank you, Anna. And I had the opportunity to bring Dr. Jonathan Comer to the group, who is running an amazing program that is funded by SAMHSA about children in disaster-prone areas and the trauma that goes with that. And there are some amazing tools. The program is called New Day, but I did want to offer up that because we will be working with him and bringing him in to the state because their program, like I said, is funded by SAMHSA, so there's no cost to anybody who wants to participate. But I would definitely encourage that he be considered as a speaker to share the resources that they have. Because, you know, let's just be honest, as we know, our children under the best of circumstances, it's hurricane season, the Uvalde situation, just a whole bunch of stuff that our kids are just constantly kind of running against. And these tools, we're finding them to be so useful. And I just wanted to make this opportunity available to everybody who works with children. So if that's something anybody's interested in, I'll put my email in the chat and you can email me and I'll send you the link to talk to his staff directly, or we can maybe arrange for him to come and speak to the group as a whole.
Thank you. Anyone have any additional resources, events, anything they'd like to share? Any questions about membership? Any questions about certification?
Thing that Big Buddy is trying to do, we're trying to be on the lookout for educational tutors. So if you got to kind of spread out the word that Big Buddy is looking for tutors, we're looking for general tutors, we're looking for tutors that can help with reading, we're looking for math tutors. A good example would be business math. We do have an application that's on our website for tutors. We're also doing an educational stipend for tutors. So you can also let them know that we do want to pay them for their time. Minimum kind of going to be 2 hours. We're very open to do once a week, twice a week, just whatever fits their schedule. So again, we do have the application online on our website with Big Buddy, as well as we do have the email if they want to ask us any questions at bigbuddy@bigbuddyprogram.org. So again, we are looking for tutors. We're trying to do a very big campaign for educated tutors. We do not mind if they are a senior in high school, but we're definitely looking for more collegiate and more of maybe our professional or even retired professionals. Yes.
Thank you, Courtney.
Excuse me, Courtney. This is Lisa. I know I sound like a different person now. Can you, I put my email address in it's my grid course email address. It's Lisa at my grid course. Can you send me details? And I teach chemistry at Southern University. And so I'll make the announcement. If you have a flyer or something you could send me, I'll make sure and send it out.
All right, this is great. This is what networking is. Anybody else? I see as I'm saying that people are starting to think. Anyone else have any events coming up? Anything to share? Any shout outs? All right, well, we want to thank you so much. Okay, Reverend Anderson said tomorrow is Constitution Day. Okay, that's what she wanted to share. That tomorrow is Constitution Day. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for participating in today's convening. We look forward to seeing you again next month, whether that is in person or via Zoom. We're going to take those results and see what the membership says, because we are here for you. And as a benefit, we want to do things, in ways that serve you all. So thank you all so much for your participation. Have a great weekend and enjoy the weather.